Welcome to another weekly episode of Marked Out Radio. We are the premier podcast focused on the hobby of collecting autographs and photo ops from celebrities. We talk about autograph conventions, on-the-street encounters, and everything else about this increasingly strange hobby. I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And the news coming out of our world this week is the sudden, shocking death of Rob Reiner, which is it's always a weird thing talking about death in the context of autograph collecting. But Rob Reiner was known for being an excellent signer. He would stop all the time. He was considered very friendly on the street. I guess in the context of our hobby, there was recently a scheduled signing for him at Bookends. And I remember you had harangued me that I should definitely go. And I said, he'll do another one. And as it turns out, he ended up canceling that book signing, so nobody did it. And that proved to be, I guess, untimely, given that he will never do another one.
Yeah. Rob Reiner was absolutely, I would say, a friend of the hobby. He seemed to take care of people as much as he could. On my own personal story with Rob, Lanza and I were doing Broadway many years ago, and we were at a different play waiting for a different actor when we saw Rob and his wife, I'm hoping his wife, and not some mistress he brought the players, walked by us. And of course, as any well-adjusted and normal human beings would do, we sort of creepily followed, in part to make sure it was actually him, because who the hell expected to see him, and also to catch up to him in a bit of a subtle way. And we ended up following him to the Elf play when Elf was on Broadway. So we watched him walk into the theater with his wife, and we then made the decision of coming back when the play let out and catching him outside. And then that's what we did. I assume and hope he probably just thought that we were random whatever people on the street, or maybe that we popped out of the same play he did and just saw him. But in any case, we were waiting for him, and he was super nice. And had the book signing happen, you would have regretted your decision now.
I live with very few regrets. So I mean, I like his stuff. I don't love anything he did. I like some of what he did, so I probably wouldn't gone that nuts. But it is a very sad loss. It is an argument, one of many arguments against having children. Right, is the possibility that they may, murder you and your wife. But by all accounts, he was a gentleman. I did. It was kind of a weird thing where you posted that he was a gentleman, and some lunatic on the Facebook group started disagreeing with you or ranting about him. I don't know. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, apparently he was a bad father. This guy has the inside scoop of what happened behind closed doors, but refused to provide any actual evidence of any of that.
I mean, look, who really knows the quality of someone's parenting? And I'm not sure it matters. Look, I mean, it's not like I don't know. It's a weird. People are nuts, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I never said he was a father of the year. I just said he was a nice guy, which I've never really heard otherwise from anyone with any actual firsthand account that had anything bad to say. So that was my basis. I never said he was the father of the year. I think, a situation like this with a kid that has this kind of mental illness, it's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I don't know what the hell you would do. There's no easy answer. So I don't know if he was too kind, if he was not kind enough. I don't know anything. But I all I can say is I pray I'm never in that situation, because I don't know how you would really handle that without any sort of mistake.
Listen, there is a way to guarantee that you will never be in that situation. Do not have children. I enjoy making that joke. Sorry, but it's true. I mean, this if you want, there's very few guarantees in life, and that is one of them.
Unless you subscribe to the idea that the universe is predetermined, and someone was going to butcher Rob Reiner on that day, whether it was his son or a mailman or something.
Kind of like Final Destination style.
Yeah.
I mean, that is possible, I guess. I don't know. This whole weird thing, because it happened also with that woman, that lunatic, talking about Conor McGregor. Like, what we really on the board on Facebook or wherever, we really only speak about people in the context of the hobby. It's very fascinating to me where people try and presume to talk about someone in any other context, because you really don't know anything. Like Conor McGregor, probably a piece of shit. Sure, probably, right? You fight people for a living. There's a pretty good chance that you have some unresolved anger issues. Otherwise, how could you be a good fighter? It stands to reason, right? And you're probably abusive in some way. I don't really know. I really haven't done any reading into this whatsoever. But how someone got all bent out of shape referring to him being a good signer as like a bad thing, when really, either in this hobby or really in any context, you have to sort of separate the person from their behavior in the hobby, because you just don't know. How could you know, right? In wrestling, famously, one of the best signers ever in wrestling was Chris Benoit, certainly not winning any Father of the Year awards, right? He almost pulled his son's head off his body. So it's like that. You could talk about him being a good signer. It's not really relevant to how he is as a father. So Rob Reiner, yeah, he was butchered by his son. There were clearly some relationship issues there, although now I'm reading that his son was recently diagnosed with significant mental health, like acute mental health issues. But who really knows? I mean, I don't know. The point is, he was a good signer. He always stopped. For the marked out world, that's sufficient. If you want to come on to marked out and complain about something else, piss off.
Well, and I don't want to go on a tangent about her, but that woman, if you actually look at any post or interaction she ever has on the group, it's literally she's there for one reason, and that is to sort of shit on anything involving street meeting. She has, I'm not sure if like her father was murdered by an autograph seeker or something traumatic happened in her life that involves like Sharpies and guardrails, but like there is some real deep-rooted anger. Like basically, I guess the way Conor McGregor treats women, she treats street graphers. So that's what I think that was more about. But the lunatic with Rob Reiner, I don't know. Who knows? These people are crazy. I mean, you have a group that sort of attracts crazy people like us because you got to be crazy to do it. And then you're talking nearly 5,000 of us. There's going to be a couple out there that are a little crazier than others.
And I think I really don't think we've even delved into street meeting and given it sort of the real meaty conversation that it deserves. I don't think a lot of people realize that a lot of the rare pieces that exist in the marketplace today are on the marketplace because of street meeters. Full stop. Cons are a very recent development, and certainly getting decent names at a con, that's a very recent development. For basically all history, if you have any kind of piece with any degree of rarity, it came from a street meet. That's just a reality. But there are these people who they want to, again, it's all about, it's the damn mirror. It's holding, and there are people who are in our group are very guilty of like doing street meets themselves, but they for some reason think that their version of street meeting is like better than other people's, and maybe they're right. I don't know. Maybe there's like an etiquette that's needed to follow it. But the bottom line is, these street graphers, these street dealers, they are what's bringing these rare graphs onto the marketplace. And that's just a fact. It's not disputable. It's a fact.
Yeah, I mean, by definition, nothing really at a con is rare. And now you have the opportunity to send in and get like Al Pacino was a street graph only for decades. And now you can send in and get a better looking one than you'd get on the street. But, 10 years ago, what was a con really going to get you? Adam West and Burt Ward, Sean Patrick Flannery with the Boondock Saints. You weren't getting any like A-list stuff. So all that stuff, it's still like your Arnold Terminator 2 piece that came from the street.
It did. So I have a couple, right? So my laser disc came from the street. It was a rack grapher on the street. Got him through a car window. My poster was a send-in. That one time he did a send-in back in, Jesus, it was years ago now. Back in for official picks. But by and large, yeah, my Arnold stuff was through the window.
I do love how you lied to Robert Patrick though and took credit for reaching through the window.
Absolutely. I'm going to start getting to the nitty gritty in the story. No, I actually bought it from someone who stuck it through the window. I know the story. How did you get it? It was through the window. Honestly, that's one of those situations where lying is closer to the truth than telling the truth is, right? Because what he really was asking was how the autograph was acquired, period, not how I got it, right? And so there's this wonderful book. I highly recommend reading it. It's called The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien. It's a book that's on the surface about a man's experiences in the Vietnam War, but it's really about our society's relationship with the truth and how sometimes the truth is closer to a lie than the lie is to a lie. It's a fantastic book. It's beautiful. But that was going through my head at the time was, do I really want to go down this rabbit hole of explaining a through the window street graph that I bought off a very reputable rack dealer? No, it's not. The point of it was that it was a through the window on the street. I didn't pay $800 for it, which was the whole point of the deal.
Listen, I think your story impressed him more than your version of the truth. So well done.
So that's Rob Reiner. What else? You had, of course, I'm stuck at home with the flu. You're out there getting autographs still. Some of these reports are good. Other ones I have my own thoughts about. But go ahead. So Mobb Deep was, I was impressed by Mobb Deep. I know the name, and I'm impressed.
Yeah, Mobb Deep, Havoc. Prodigy, sadly, is no longer with us. Havoc was doing a little pop-up meet and greet at the Mass Appeal pop-up shop, which I've spoken about. I'll tell you, this Mass Appeal pop-up shop, I am absolutely going to miss when it goes away, which it does, I think, early January. They announce these signings with like a day's notice. It's usually very, very, very short notice. Obviously, only really able to be hit by the locals and the real psychopaths that are going to book, buses and planes and stuff on a moment's notice. The Havoc of Mobb Deep was appearing, and these events are always a little bit ambiguous. You never quite know what you're going to get as far as photo ops seem to be the constant. Every single one has had photo ops, but basically signing varies. So for this one, I just bought a vinyl off the rack at the store, which is the album I really would have wanted signed, given it's new and timely. And I guess in a weird way, kind of complete, because the other albums, Prodigy was alive. So they're forever incomplete. For this one, it was made after he died. So I think in a strange way, it is complete in an incomplete sort of way. But anyway, the event was great. Havoc, he arrived right on time, which I've never, ever, 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 ever seen a rapper do, ever. So that was great. I was on the train really quick back home. It was a pretty quick turnaround, all things considered.
How was the draw for him?
Definitely less than De La Soul, given it wasn't a weekend. The weekend aspect helped De La Soul, I think. It really was pretty solid, but I think a lot of people were kind of blocked by the time of the event, since it was like an afternoon event.
So not good.
Not great. But I mean, as far for people that were there was no purchase necessary. I ended up purchasing, as I said, because I had nothing else with me. But there was some people that bought nothing and had 6 vinyls in a bag. And from the video they posted, it seems like he hit them. So definitely a good one.
That's great. That's fantastic. I mean, no purchase necessary. That's my favorite kind of signing.
I like free signings as long as it's not the usual Cricket Wireless type of free signing where you got to wait online for 45 hours.
Oh, for sure. There's always some kind of shenanigans there. Awesome. And then you went to I have to say something about this, but whatever. I'll say it at the end. Then you went to Ken's K&S, the Sportatorium. They had I guess it was a live plus an in-person signing with it was supposed to be with Demolition, but I guess Bill Eadie's flight was canceled, so it was just with Barry Darsow.
Yeah, I arrived. I had my big rubber guys. I had my new WWE Mattel Elites. I had both sets ready to rock and roll. And as I'm walking up towards the famed Sportatorium, Bobby Apt was outside, who was doing various things, working the event. And he comes up to me, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Do you want the good news or the bad news first?" And my response was instantly, which one of them is dead? And
naturally,
yeah. Well, the good news is Bill Eadie is not dead as of now. His flight was canceled, which, I mean, given all the wind we had, I was kind of expecting. Honestly, I expected neither one to make it. So there was no Bill Eadie. I got my incomplete sets done by Barry Darso, who recognizes me by now. He's like, "Nice to see you again," which definitely not a good thing if you've spent enough time with Barry Darso where he actually recognizes you. But
is that good or bad?
I would say bad. I don't think it doesn't yield me any sort of a gain or benefit. He's not inviting me to some like Minnesota cookout. It just means that I'm definitely in like the 1% of lunatics that have been around him long enough for him to sort of know me, which is not good. But it was absolutely, I would say, if you are a figure collector in any way, shape, or form, this is one of those like what a time to be alive moments. You have new Demolition WWE figures that look awesome. You have the big rubber guys that I think these are the best big rubber guys they've ever made. The Axe and Smash look ridiculous. And I know for fans of professional wrestling, they've been sort of crying for Demolition to have new figures and get in the Hall of Fame and all this stuff for years and years. So it's finally here. The stuff is in hand. And I just hope Bill Eadie is coming back in January. I hope all goes well with that and I can get these sets completed.
So yeah, I mean, I guess my question, you sort of answered, was how many times does one need a low-level guy like Barry Darso? It honestly strains credulity on my part. I can't fathom wanting so many more Barry Darso items. I can't get my head around it.
Well, first of all, whereas maybe Barry Darso individually is a low-level guy, I would argue, I'll say it, I think Demolition is on the WWE Mount Rushmore of tag team.
I mean, that's just absurd, but okay. I can't even, I don't even know why they weren't even pushed that hard. They were around for a short period of time. They were pushed very hard for maybe a year, and after that, they were jobbed out and kind of pushed to the bottom.
Maybe it's irrational. I don't know. I am a Demolition guy through and through. I recognize now that you have Usos and New Day and Hardys and Edge and Christian and all these different teams that are probably bigger than almost any of those teams in the early 90s. But for me, it's always Hart Foundation, Demolition, even the Brainbusters, although their run wasn't long enough. Like, that's who I still look at as, like, the guys. So for me and my fandom, Demolition is huge.
Yeah, I mean, Demolition, I always thought it was interesting. I'm going to go off on a wild tangent right now. I can't help myself. Demolition was the very clear indication of just how many gay guys were booking and running WWE at the time, because they were literally came out dressed in like this fetish clothing that and being marketed to young children who had like people were just not supposed to know that they were walking in. They were dressed in like fetish gear, like gimp masks and all these leather straps and stuff. I always thought that was really funny. And it was just a funny thing that so many people our age, or I guess my age and your age, will look at this and remember like these childhood, like these guys marketed it their childhood when they were just wearing like bondage clothes.
Maybe I'm just completely delusional. I always saw them as like a Kiss LOD kind of like, let's make our own LOD, but let's make them kind of, Kiss is popular, so let's just sort of throw this all together and stir it up. I see what you're saying with the bondage gear, but that's how I always viewed it.
I mean, LOD wore spiked shoulder pads. Demolition wore gimp masks. It's just not the same thing. I don't know what to tell. I think it's sort of willful blindness on the people who were consumers of that product. But it's very clear who was booking this and where they got their inspiration from. I think that's very amusing. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's just, I don't know. I liked Demolition at the time. Looking back, their matches weren't good. Their finish sucked. The Hart Foundation and the Islanders were like, the real great. Even honestly, looking back, the Powers of Pain were like underrated as well because the Barbarian was just great. The Warlord was whatever, but
Wait,
the Barbarian was really great.
You're putting the Islanders over Demolition?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. In terms of the excitement that they produced, 100%. Yeah, Demolition had like actively bad. They were. I mean, by the time Demolition were pushed, they were more or less in shambles. The plan. I've read about this. The plan was to like push Demolition and have this whole Demolition centered tag division, and then Billy really couldn't do anything. And so that's why he spent most of the matches on the mat, not doing anything, and because he was sick, and so and Darsow did much of the work, but then it got progressively got worse until they just had to bring in what's his face, Crush, who's horrible, to replace Edie, and that's what that's kind of the trajectory of Demolition.
Yeah.
They had this plan for this idea. It just never went anywhere.
My closing thoughts, I can't name an Islanders match, and while I'm sure Brett gets the lion's share of the credit, that match Demolition had with the Hart Foundation at SummerSlam, to me, I don't think the Islanders have a match memorable enough like that. But in any
case,
case,
Brett, that's 95% Brett. Also, keep in mind back then, the Anvil was kind of great at what he did. Also,
yeah.
Right? He came in, he did look, the Anvil is an objectively crappy wrestler, right? But he would come in, he would hit these explosive moves and then get out.
He was good as the power guy for sure.
Absolutely, he would stand on the apron. He would Brett would get the crap kicked out of him. He would hype, come in, clean house, do this great explosive looking stuff. Then they'd cut him off and he'd tag out to Brett, and Brett take a beating again. That was the formulation, and it worked quite nicely. But that's kind of what it was. Demolition didn't. The problem is fundamentally they were booked as the power faces, but they didn't have any offense. So the offense sucked. So so that's why the Powers of Pain are kind of better in the sense that the Barbarian was throw you around, beat the shit out of you, and it looked good. The Warlord couldn't really do anything, but even then, by that point, by the time the '90s came around, then you wanted when the Brainbusters came in, and then it was just a different style was emerging by that point.
Yeah,
and then these guys were left in the dust, because the Brainbusters was unbelievable at the time. They could do anything, those guys. And of course, Sean and Marty, when they were like not fired randomly or drunk out of their minds or drugged out of their minds, would come in and just tear the house down. And even honestly, I'm going to go crazy. An underrated team of the time period was the Twin Towers, because of the way that they built their stuff was fun to watch. If Boss Man was super underrated forever and ever and ever, and will always be super underrated as this really phenomenal guy who was just never recognized. Maybe he is now. I don't know. What's your thoughts on Boss Man?
Boss Man's definitely underrated. He could do a lot of things.
Right. He could take huge bumps for a guy who was, fat. Just really excellent. And obviously by the point of the Twin Towers, Gang was too fat to really do anything, but he had some really sick power stuff that he would do, and he would still move reasonably well. But just Boss Man was a phenom. I love that the Twin Towers Rockers thing.
No, I agree.
I loved it, all of that, because they were all so good at what they did that you really were like, oh my god, everything mattered so much. Anyway, we're getting too deep into the wrestling stuff.
Yeah, but that's my closing thoughts on Barry Darsow. It was, a smooth time. Always great to see Ken and Sean and Finn and Bobby Apt and all those guys, Brian Sokol. And the one thing I was kind of proud of myself with was I purchased the Big Rubber Guy set for $150. That was the price. $50 each. Had to buy all three. And I sold the Crush, which I really don't collect these things that they can't be signed. So I sold the Crush on eBay for $152 alone to somebody in the Netherlands.
No, why would they buy that? Can't you still buy them from the company now, or are they sold out?
No, the pre-order is the order. So basically, once they pull the pre-orders, no other ones go up for sale. So pre-orders were pulled in like September. So they're not for sale anymore. One toy retailer apparently has Axe and Smash now on back order for like the retail pricing, but somehow Crush isn't. And for people that had the Series 1 Demolition, which are very, very, very inferior figures compared to these, if you just need Crush to complete the Demolition, well, then you needed Crush. That's the only one. So after fees, I probably paid like, $30 for my 2 big rubber guys, which is much better.
Oh, that's great. I mean, and I'm going to be honest, thankfully, I am not currently in a phase of life where I'm like interested in buying toys. But I mean, you and I had this conversation. I looked at some of the, newer LJN style stuff that they released, and I looked at some of these, and I'm like, these look really cool. And if I were so inclined, I would buy these. Thankfully, I'm not, so I'm able to resist pretty easily. I haven't bought anything, but I like them a lot. It's a question like anything else. What am I going to do with this? And if the answer is throw it in a box or put it in a pile, then I'm not going to buy it. But I do love them, and so I can enjoy them from afar. And then what it means is I'm not attending these signings. So are you done with Barry Darsow now?
Probably until they make a Repo Man Elite. I always loved Repo. So
I have to say, you have the absolute worst tastes of anyone I've ever met. Like, the Repo Man did nothing good. Not a good match, not a good promo, not a good vignette, nothing. There was nothing good about that.
You have to understand, I was 5 years old in 1992.
Right, but even as a 5-year-old, I like Macho Man and Piper as a 5-year-old. You liked Repo Man. So were you eating lead paint or something like that? Like, why were you liking the worst characters ever?
Maybe you just uncovered something. Maybe the Hasbro line was painted with lead paint, and that's why I'm so weird.
All these you like nails and then all these horrible things that had no redeeming qualities at all. And it's funny. I always enjoyed that. But speaking of which, in other news, you went out and I noticed I did not get an invite to this one. You bought the rest of that collection that we had gone through, the secret garage collection there, and you pulled out some gems.
I did. I'm wondering, should I just reveal his identity now since he has nothing left?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You didn't get his permission, and also it's more fun this way, to be honest.
Okay. But I returned to the secret garage, even though there's a piece I'm going to be showing off later this week that apparently I can't get the personalization off. I went to it's a promo, and I went to Andrew, who is like the promo guy, and he confirmed that you really can't take it off. So if you are a an avid listener and you can read, you will probably figure out who it is. But whatever.
You should put a post-it over it just to kayfabe it.
Ooh, you're right. I might actually. That's a good idea. Anyway, so yes, I unearthed some gems. Basically, he is clearing out. He's keeping very little. There were a couple of pieces that I tried to get from him that honestly he's overvaluing, which I respect, because if it's something you actually care about as a collector, you should overvalue it to move it. So he has what he has left. I bought the rest of his stuff. I even have a I really can't say what it is, but for people that are in this hobby, there was a little like trinket that like he would carry around at these signings. And when I saw it in the garage, I said to him, if you were going to throw this out, I said, I will take it just on like this, just like on a level of preserving the like artifact. And he gave it to me. So I have, for people in the inner circle, you definitely know what this is. And it's actually hilarious that now it resides in a bin in my closet in the office. But
in some ways, it resides exactly where it belongs now.
Is that right? An insult or
no, not at all. I mean, it's neither. It's a fact. What I'm saying is this item was always destined to be a marked out artifact. That's what it is. It's not. It's less connected to the person involved than it is to the community at this point.
I agree. So yeah, and I'm not going to go into rambling what I got, because I don't think anyone wants to hear me ramble about what I got. But I will be posting in the group. I'll be dropping a handful of things. Most everything I'm keeping. There's a couple things that hit our eBay store that I don't need, but most everything I'm keeping. Yeah.
It's funny. If anyone came to see us at a big event and they were at our table, and they met Kevin, my friend from work. Kevin always loves to come by at work and talk about needs, hobby needs, and how people use that term. He absolutely loves talking about that and how we use that term. So yeah, it is very funny. Just hearing the word need in any context in the hobby is delightful for me.
I agree.
Okay. Let's get on. We do have some reports, not a ton, but that is the season for a lack of reports, really. Sean and Finn, of course, they were at the last ever John Cena match, because of course they were, at Saturday night's main event. And they met Cena backstage. He was in his last time is now gear, and so that's sort of a once in a lifetime thing. What'd you think about that?
I mean, honestly, just imagine if this like what on location, whatever it's called, type of packages. Imagine if this existed back, like that you're at like WrestleMania 6 with Hogan and Warrior. Like the idea that like fans are able to get access to like these like moments in time. I mean, I'm happy with the marked out artifact I got in my closet. Like here, talk about, a true moment in time right there. You get to it's insane, absolutely insane. And there's always the idiots that comment like, I wish I was rich enough to do this. And like, obviously that's life. That's life. People have different abilities to sort of live and experience these types of moments. That's the point. That is absolutely the point. And it's just funny to me that people always say that. But it's insane. Those photos, like, it'll never be topped. Like backstage with Cena before the last match. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, awesome. Kind of funny. There was also like a weird, I don't even know how to describe it, a virtual photo op, live stream photo op with Chelsea Green on a screen. They seem to get a kick out of it. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's fascinating that it feels like something out of like Star Wars. It's strange. I kind of wonder, like, where was she? Like, did she have to show up to some sort of a central location where they have like some immersive like green screen booth? Did she do it like in her bathroom? Like, that's what I want to know. Where the hell was Chelsea when she's all suited and like in this like virtual reality like screen?
Yeah, why the hell wasn't she backstage with everyone else?
Yeah, I'm saying or was she somehow backstage and they just put her through this screen to be innovative? I don't know. It was a little weird, but it's fascinating, and it's the kind of thing that always like just rains down on this hobby. And for people crazy enough to worry about such things, is that valid?
No, I mean obviously not.
I don't know. It's not ideal, but I mean she's posing. What's the I don't know.
We had a whole conversation about this when they were trying to do the virtual photo ops over Zoom during COVID, and everyone agreed they were not. Why are you trying to change your story now?
I don't recall saying it wasn't. I don't think it's ideal, but I mean I think it kind of fits the. It's interesting. I don't know.
You would accept that as a valid. I find that very hard to swallow. That you would accept that as a valid photo op.
I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to crap on it because it's not the main part of the report. I don't think I would not say I'm good. I don't need another photo op with Chelsea. But I mean, it really hits a lot of the criteria for what a valid photo op is.
I don't think it hits any of the criteria. You have to be in the room with the person. Otherwise, just think of the possibilities. It makes no sense. You could do it from anywhere. If the presence of the person isn't required, then I mean, isn't that sort of the initial? I mean, that's like the initial requirement is that person has to be literally there. Otherwise, I mean, anything can be counted as present. No,
it's a fair point. I just think it's definitely an interesting capability now of technology that you can have someone that is in many ways there. You're able to talk in real time, and it's it's just a strange thing. Would I go to a convention and pay for an op like that? No. But I think it's fascinating. I think it may stretch the definition and the boundaries of what valid is.
I don't know. This is like an auto pen. It's the same thing. They couldn't be there. Their digital autograph or some baloney like that. It's their way. To me, it's their way of stretching dollars, right? They want to instead of giving you something that's of value, meeting her, they're going to try and charge you for it, but not really give you something of value.
I disagree on the auto pen. I agree on the digital autograph. I think that is exactly what it is. And I think there's definitely, as we talked about, I think that there's definitely a possibility where digital autographs become a subset, a subgenre of the hobby. I won't want them, but I think that it's a possibility that it becomes, something.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Sadly, I think I don't think, and I don't think, frankly, I don't think Sean and Finn would have sought this out. It was just kind of a thing that was attached to their, I mean, I gave the main package was the Cena, obviously, but it was it is sort of a curious thing that is something I really hope it doesn't take off. Let's put it like that.
Agreed.
Could you imagine if you pay for this On Location? And I mean, look, the name of the friggin' package is On Location, and she ain't even there. Something about that just it rubs me a little bit funny. Let's see. So this is kind of amusing because last Sunday it was 4 inches of snow on the ground, and that was enough to get you not to hit the Terry Collins, Tom Hellion, Brett Beatty event, but Ari hit it anyway. Do you regret not going?
Well, it was closer to 8 by me, so no. And it didn't stop snowing until the event was long over. It was snowing until like 1:30 in the afternoon. So I'm good.
I think you're doing a little bit of junior high school measuring, but go ahead.
No, it absolutely was that deep. Comac had I think 9.5.
You just shit all over my outstanding joke, by the way.
Sorry. Listen, we don't joke about the weather. But no, Ari was a braver man than me. He went, he got it. It's what this means now. Brett Beatty is going to go on and become the Mets version of Mike Schmidt at the hot corner because I wasn't there. I'm sure of it now.
Probably. And then I mean, I would have gone if I were you. If I actually cared so much about a sports team, I would have gone. So yeah, I'm a little bit shocked that you did not. But yeah, clearly your fandom is waning. It sounds like. But Ari's looked good. He also did the Philly show that weekend also, and it's funny because Greg 2600 was in the group chat very much giving us a blow by blow of the Philly show, and he was really not a happy camper about how it was run.
No, I wonder if Greg fought with that Philly show promoter yet. They had to have had some sort of an argument somewhere on Facebook.
Some sort of words.
Yeah.
Verbal fisticuffs.
Probably. It's definitely crazy. 25 per for a digital photo is a little nuts. I don't understand why shows like this. I don't know. I've said it before. I don't want to keep going on tangents, but to me, I mean, it just makes too much sense that the print photos are the add-on and the digital is the standard. In some cases, I understand they probably make more money on the digital upcharging than they would.
But that's exactly what's happening here.
But I mean, at this price, I bet a lot of people just scan their ops. 25 per is crazy. So they probably actually lost money by charging so much. Because I bet you only the true psychopaths that care about quality to that level were going to pay 25 per.
Let's be honest. Most of these promoters are brain dead. They have no idea what's going on, these guys. They don't think through their policies. I don't know. That seems pretty clear based on having just basic conversations with them over time. And this, I mean, I've never met the promoters of this show, but I'm assuming they're like most promoters and that they are really not setting the world on fire with their business acumen. That's why they're always going in and out of business so much. Funny anecdote, because I actually forgot to send this to you, but it popped up. Have you ever heard of Magpie Toys?
No.
So they're a pretty big, they're a pretty big signing outfit in the UK. They do a lot of signings with Lord of the Rings guests and stuff like that. I would say think of them like size wise. What's the name? And now what's the name of the company? They only do like Funkos and They do big bulk order. They do big bulk signings of Funkos. What's the name? It starts with a D.
Shoot, I was going to say $7 a pop. So I guess that's
No,
not
no,
it.
no, 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 no. It's the other one.
I don't think I'm deep enough in the Funko world
You
to really
absolutely know them. We've talked about them. We saw them doing consignments at Rhode Island that time together.
Dark Parlor.
Dark Parlor. They're probably on, in terms of size of their business, like Dark Parlor. And so they, of course, they had shitty customer service, because why not? All of these places have shitty customer service. And someone on one of the groups was complaining about it. And the guy on the group said something funny. He said, I was hesitant to make a blast about them because I figured as such a big company, they would have better customer service, and I was afraid to put them on blast. And I kind of laughed, because we sort of have the weird, and I understand why, but many fans have the sort of weird mistaken belief that a lot of the companies who run these things are big, when in fact they're almost all home businesses run out of their house, all of them. And so even like these so-called large companies are, chances are, not large at all. They're very small. They don't really have any employees or anything, or if they do, they have a handful of employees who are part-time. It's just funny to me that they've almost across the board, these promoters and these companies, and I'll use that term very loosely, have gotten people to buy the fact that they're really very small. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think there's always the sort of that like Wizard of Oz thing with a lot of these companies, where you don't really sort of understand the backyard wrestling feel of their operations, and I am absolutely including myself in that, and us, the illustrious office that I talk about, where I record these Cronkite level episodes of my insight and wit, and where I keep all of our great inventory, including Maria's vagina, is a bedroom in my house with like 1970s era like floral wallpaper. Like there is no, this is not the Amazon distribution center. This is a bedroom in my house where I have all our crap.
Yes. And so a lot of these people, they have the kind of belief that, oh, well, this is a big company running it. They'll take me seriously. That's why it's so funny when a lot of these companies, these signings, they'll say, oh, someone from our team will get back to you. There's no team. There's no someone. It's them. Most of these are single proprietorships. Or it's their mother or something. So it's just funny when we're talking about the promoter of this is a guy. A lot of these is a person, or one or two people. That's it. And it's kind of important for people to start treating these companies like that. They're not these large organizations that should be treated with some kind of gravitas. It's just a guy,
Yeah.
And so they should be held to account when their communication sucks. It means it's a guy who's not checking his messages and should communicate properly. Anyway, I digressed. So yeah, some asshole made the decision to charge $25 for a digital photo. I hope he gets hit in the pocketbook by it, but who knows how that will shake out.
Agreed.
What else do we have on here? Vinny had a great week. He's out there braving the cold. He did. There was this. I guess it was some kind of variety show of sorts. Bill Murray and Paul Schaefer of Letterman fame did a show together. Vinny, I guess tickets sold out pretty quickly, but Vinny rightfully recognized that getting in the door was key to a show like this. So he was able to get a ticket on the secondary market while he was in the show. It looked like they called Chris Rock on stage to do a bit with them. And also, it's very smart. He was eagle-eyed. He looked at the audience, because often at shows like this, there are famous people in the audience, and he noticed Sofia Coppola in the audience. And so Vinny left that show. He got Bill, he got Chris Rock, and he got Paul Schaefer, and he got Sofia Coppola.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, granted, Bill is huge, so I don't think anything trumped Bill in terms of magnitude. But at that type of show, you could find bigger people in the crowd, which Chris Rock and Coppola are pretty damn big.
Absolutely.
I think that was definitely worth the price of admission. And if you were waiting outside in the cold at the stage door, do you think Chris and Bill were stopping?
Hell no.
Absolutely not.
So it's a great, slick, smart move by Vinny, getting those people in that environment.
Agreed.
Smart. That's the marked out way. recognizing an opportunity and seizing it and taking it. So great job. He also did something similar. Brendan Fraser had an event for a movie that's coming out. He got Brendan Fraser, and then he also spotted Kathy Moriarty in the crowd and got her as well. So Vinny really applying some savvy to his street meeting endeavors.
Agreed. And that wasn't all he did.
No, he also was able to get Jerry Seinfeld. And of course, Jerry is notorious for not doing photo ops, but he certainly was able to get a graph out of Seinfeld.
Yeah, Jerry's a pretty free signer. I think in a situation like that, at a rail, that from what Vinny was telling me, the true like pros of the rail were really pushing and shoving and getting a little greedy, going for more. So basically what you kind of have to do if you are a psychopath that like makes a life of this, because I mean every autograph you get is more money the big boss is paying you, or whatever the hell the arrangement for each person is. So you kind of have to be a uncivilized animal, I guess. And this sort of always takes me back to my Seinfeld moment, which was at Madison Square Garden. Back when Madison Square Garden's celebrity entrance wasn't quite the established and sort of blown up thing it is today. Back then, you didn't really have rails that fans would wait behind. You'd have a handful of fans, and you would sort of just stand on the sidewalk and wait and see, what happened, who pulled up. And on that fateful evening, a car pulls up, and you can see through you had all the outside lights of the garden, which luckily illuminated the inside of the car enough that I could see just the sheer disgust in Jerry's eyes as he looked out on the freaks, myself included, just waiting out there on the sidewalk. So finally he gathers himself, he exits the car, and he walks over, and of course Jerry being Jerry, he starts signing. Now Jerry, I asked him for a selfie. He's never going to stop for a selfie. That's the way he is. I saw a video of him actually recently out in a very affluent part of Long Island at an event with people. It wasn't even freaks of the world. It was just people that he would see around in these different events. And what I did is no different from what the woman did, where you ask him for a selfie, he doesn't really give you much of an answer, and you kind of just go into business for yourself. I had the wherewithal to put the camera on video mode. And he saw the camera outstretched in front of us. He didn't look away from it. He didn't shield his face. He didn't tell me to stop. He just went about his business. I got several clips of him looking in my camera. And for me, I count it. It's valid. I'm happy with it. But, I mean, he's not going to actually stop and pose. That's just what he is.
You're going to make me use the marked out N-word, non-consensual.
Yes, listen, as I said in one of those video shorts I posted most recently, the marked out community is not quite the Epstein Island here, but I mean, we don't really practice consent.
Oh, sorry. It's such a funny way to talk about the world. Oh, God. But you're right. You're right.
But no, I'm jealous of Vinny's graphs because I need Seinfeld graphs. This is one of those things where every time, and I got a text from Zach yesterday inviting me, hope I'm not blowing up Zach's spot, but he invited me to join him last night. But I mean, I was already in the city buying up a collection. I couldn't go home and come back. It was too much. But one of these days, I'll hit Jerry at one of these spots and get some graphs.
Did he get him?
I don't know. I got to text him later. I haven't heard from him.
Not a good sign.
No.
Yeah. So what else? Chasen Graphs, he sent in a report that he once again hit an NXT house show. He got a bunch of the girls continuing to clean up NXT.
Yeah, his style of collecting is honestly our style of booking talent. He's all about chasing the up-and-comers while they're gettable. So, good job, Chasen.
And a couple of interesting discussions on the Facebook group. I keep saying the board this week. I don't know why. A couple interesting discussions on the Facebook group this week. One of which was that Captain's Corner, who is a pretty well-known vendor in the community, they got themselves into a little bit of a pickle this week. Someone had posted a report that he had done a mail away signing for the grappler Len Denton. I really don't even know who that is, but um, basically he had gotten the wrong item sent back to him from that signing, and he gave Captain's Corner like something obscene, like 9 months to solve the problem, and it still wasn't solved. Captain's Corner actually came in to reply. I'm going to be honest, I thought their reply was deeply unsatisfactory. It was more or less, sorry, we're still working on it. Again, this is one of those cases where we is not a we, it's a guy, right? And working on it doesn't really mean it doesn't take much to work on it. You look, it's there or it's not there. If it's there, send it to him. If it's not there, give him some money or take care of him. But this whole I'm working on it business is really designed to just stretch things out and elongate them until he goes away.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be a little professional and tactful here because I've always, the few times I've dealt with Captain's Corner, he's taken care of me. So I don't want, this is not me talking about. Actually, I don't even. I mean, I was gonna say it's not me talking about Richie, but honestly, Richie was always fine with me in person as well. So I guess I'll just say what needs to be said. It's not good. It's never a good thing when something's been going on for months, and then when someone makes a post about it, automatically then you respond and you refund and you do all these things. Like, this really should have been done privately over the several months, or ideally over, several hours when something goes wrong. It's honestly a nightmare scenario. I want to make it clear, and I'm not making this in a sort of a sympathetic way, because Captain's Corner chose this life. Same way we chose doing it, and everyone else chooses doing it. But it's kind of like, that's the kind of like showing up to school naked dream that you'd have as a kid. Like sending someone, like mixing up items, and one person gets one person's item, another person gets another's. That's a really shitty situation, because you have then made two people incomplete. Although maybe it seems like the one person got a better card than he originally had, so he's probably not complaining. But it's not good, and it seems like there's been other people out there that have had problems as far as the communication goes with Captain's Corner. They've been doing this since COVID, hot and heavy. I mean, they have a following, so I assume more often than not it goes well. But it sounds like when some hiccup or speed bump happens, there's not always the greatest communication.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you could be listen, what makes you a good company or a good provider of services is not how you react when things go well. It's very easy. It's very easy to do this when things go well. The issue is when things go wrong. And stuff does go wrong sometimes. Things happen. The world, whatever. Nothing is perfect. Things go wrong. It's how you respond when things go wrong, and they responded terribly to how that's it.
The move should have been instantly responding and handling it. And if you couldn't facilitate the person that has the actual cards to return them, if the guy just said no, I'm keeping them, or just didn't respond to him, then Captain's Corner should have not only refunded for the autograph, but should have basically paid them for the value of the cards, or had to pay for a replacement set that would be comparable. And honestly, maybe throw them a little 25% off coupon on top of that to encourage a repeat trust of their service after they kind of failed them the first time. That's how I think they should have handled it. But
it's a very simple thing. It's very simple. If you are taking someone else's stuff, you have to return it to them. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a bare minimum kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So it doesn't look good, and of course they had their defenders come in, which is always fascinating. Like, what can you say to possibly defend this? I don't know.
I mean, a situation like this, like I said, Nick has never, every time I've done anything with Nick, it's great. I see Nick at shows, I say hello, he's friendly, he's cool, whatever. But in a situation like this, saying, oh, well, I never had a problem, it doesn't really help. Like, this person clearly has a problem, and what they're asking for is not unreasonable at all. no one's saying you have to go piling on and, say the captain's corner ran over your dog. But I mean, it doesn't really do anything to go say, oh, he's, he set my thing right, 3 years
It's actually
ago.
I'm going to be honest, it's one of my least favorite things when someone replies to a problem with, well, I never had a problem with that. Well, you know what? Like, go to hell. I don't care. This was clearly a problem. It was clearly done wrong. Fix it. Just fix it.
Well, you know why they do it, because then, imagine if Captain's Corner would have liked that message. If he liked that comment, then that fan could feel as though he's my friend. He loves me. He sees I understand the struggle. And, all those lovely things that's people in this world covet that brings them nothing.
If you want to blow them, just ask. So posting public things, it's embarrassing. That stuff is so it's so embarrassing. Where it's like a stranger like caping for someone. It's so embarrassing. I can't deal with it. I hope no one ever defends me in public for it. It's so, especially if I don't know you. It's just shut up, okay?
These flu meds got you going today. Wow.
I don't take medicine like that. I just had.
This is your flu game, like MJ right here.
I can't because it's the same two idiots. And notice when they got called to the carpet for being idiots, they didn't respond, defending the indefensible. I thought the one guy said, well, it's just a risk you take when you do send-ins. Yeah, that's true. And it's really, you really see, again, how someone reacts when things go sideways. That's the thing. When we sent the package out to Jeff Seltzer and the package was destroyed by the post office, we took a hit, we took a loss, and we sent him another one. What are we going to do? He paid us for it, right? We'll have to take it up with the postal service. No, right? You have to build into your model an expectation that a certain percentage of product will be lost to shrink. This is in retail. This is a common term. When product gets destroyed or stolen or lost, you have to build into your margin that this is going to happen to a certain percentage of your product. This is the problem, is you're dealing with amateurs and morons who are, pretending to run companies. And it's a good example of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, kind of a fun hobby thing. Some dude from NASCAR, I don't know who it is, but a guy named Brayton Laster, he posted a bunch of stickers, I guess, for a trading card company that he was signing. But it was cool because like that's how whenever like a trading card company says, there's 100 autographed cards, randomly inserted into packs, the celebrity or the athlete signs a bunch of stickers and then mails them back to Topps or whoever, and they put them on the cards. And so we got to see what those stickers look like. And it was kind of cool because like on some of them he drew things, on some of them he put inscriptions, on some of them he just put horrific looking autographs, and some of them were nice autographs. And it's just funny how you see the natural variations in a signature.
Yeah, and much like the I never had a problem comments, I always love the person that has one Undertaker autograph in their collection, and someone will post one that has some variety, and they will post their autograph and say, well, I don't know, it doesn't quite look like mine. Thinking as if like these people are all like auto pen machines. And I think it's interesting for people like us that will pull and stack 100 prints with talent and watch each signature one by one and see how much variety there is. For people that maybe walk up and get one autograph or buy it on like high spots, they don't realize, I think, always how different it is. And also, like what I always enjoy is even though you see how different they are, try to train your eye to see how similar certain things are and how there's certain constants in the flow, in the angle, and all of those little things that no matter how sloppy or ugly or perfect the signature looks, that is still kind of there.
Absolutely. That's how you learn, actually, is to see kind of bad, for lack of a better word, bad examples when you can see what makes them still good,
Yeah.
It was a fun thing to see. I'm glad that got posted. Also, it's kind of a hobby adjacent story. I'm not really sure how to treat it per se, but there is a story that as a result of I guess it was a Donald Trump post about Rob Reiner's death. Mick Foley has announced publicly that he is no longer associated with WWE. I guess because WWE is so connected to the administration, that they don't want to be. He doesn't want to be associated with that anymore. And then he is also not renewing his Legends contract next year when it comes up. What are your thoughts and how this will affect the hobby?
I think it's very similar to and I don't want to be piling on Mick because I do believe he is absolutely steadfast in his political beliefs. I know what he puts out there is what he feels. And I think whether I agree or disagree with everything he says on a post by post basis, I absolutely respect him standing on his beliefs. But I think this is much like the other thing where it's Mick sort of being a carny. I think, like, I know Kevin Nash made some comments about the checks were sort of reduced now under TKO. He's not quite getting what he used to get, and I think also because Mick uses and leans on the Legends deal, I think differently than some of these guys, because the figures and the products that come out as a result of that Legends deal is what he signs. That's what keeps his lines plentiful. That's what keeps his pockets lined with cash. I think he sees the writing on the wall where they already made his Funko. He's aware that Mattel has already made basically all his big versions of his characters. He's graced all the Mattel lines aside from that new LJN one, which would have been kind of cool. But I think now he's realizing that being outside of that bubble, he can do grapplers and gimmicks. He can do big rubber guys. He can do heels and faces. He can do all these different small toy lines and have a whole influx of new product. And I think also he hates Trump, and I think he probably does look at WWE a little sideways for aligning themselves with him. And I think that's a cool little bonus where he could, sort of say F you for supporting stuff that he doesn't support, while being able to sort of broaden his horizons. Because again, he's an intelligent guy who's about his money. And I don't think he's ever going to do anything in spite of that. It's going to always be that works in concert with his intelligence and his desire to make money.
I mean, yeah, look, I like Mick, but Mick first and foremost is a businessman. And I absolutely think, it's no coincidence that the writing was already on the wall when he was making those comments about you sparing people's wallets by not upcharging for figures and stuff. And it's like, come on, who are we fooling here with this? This is about trying to make more money. And so, yeah, I think like anything else, I'm sure he believes that this, in his convictions, he believes in what he's saying. But at the same time, if he'll be able to license his name elsewhere and take advantage of that. I think it's just common sense.
Yeah, but agreed. I do think though that Mick does need some credit, because if you're someone that's really about your money, you would avoid politics altogether. There might be 1 or 2 or 20 real right-wing people that would not support him anymore because he dared speak out against their guy. I think, but I don't think there's any people that say, oh, just because you hate Trump, now I'm going to spend more money. So I think he could be losing some sales by being so political. So I think there is definitely some, I respect him standing on business, basically, but I think everything ultimately is about business for him. So
right, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I would think, and I think people who live their lives based on superficial claims of support by celebrity or celebrity adjacent figures are demented. But I do believe there were people who were like carrying on social media, like, oh, Mick took one too many shots to the head, and they said things like that. It's just like, Jesus Christ, stuff like that just makes me shake my head. Believing makes you sort of makes the argument that it's not possible for someone to ever make any sort of good faith policy change or position change in life ever, and that's just not I'd like to think it's possible in theory for someone to change their position on something or to take a stand on something. So I mean, I do agree that it's very likely that he is probably at least on some level taking a stand here. But I mean, it's much easier to make that. Let's put it this way: it's much easier to make that decision when your business is already declining, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is important to recognize as well.
Agreed.
So you had a little bit of a tiff on the Marked Out Autograph group this week.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I thought I was being nice. Marked Out listener, customer, Chris Giles, who has a very nice collection of things that he sells.
Yeah, he made it into Wicked Ink Wednesday.
Yeah,
this week.
And he sells some of his stuff. The stuff he has is always good. He's not buying from Control Center or GTG or any of those crappy sources out there. He buys good stuff, and what he sells is good. So he had a sales post, and he's one of the people where I always approve his stuff because he supports us in terms of submissions. He buys stuff, and he has good stuff. I know that when we approve something he's selling, it's not going to come back in 6 months that he was selling crap that then we're dragged for having on our group. And some member of the group commented about, are there any COAs on these pieces? And that always pisses me off. And I responded because he said that he's been burned before and he likes to only buy things with COAs. So my response was, I even started it by saying respectfully, you should stick to high spots and fanatics if you are that concerned and you want to buy stuff that is stickered and of the utmost of just being reputable and ironclad in terms of being authentic. And he responds with, wow, that's kind of effed to say. And I didn't think it was effed at all. There were definite rough drafts in my head of of responses I could have made that would have been kind of nasty. I was trying to be helpful. If you don't want anything that isn't stickered and 1,000,000% authentic, you shouldn't be buying from us. You shouldn't be buying from Giles. You shouldn't be buying from Ken or any of these people. You should be buying from the institutions. But the reality is, people like him are bargain shopping, but they want basically they want to buy from a trunk of a car in a parking lot to get the deal, but they want the return policy from the store in which the parking lot they're doing their discount shopping in. You can't have it both ways.
Right. Bottom line, yes. Which is why the mantra is buy the autograph, don't buy the sticker. Right? We're not buying stickers. You're buying autographs. Stop buying stickers. And these people just don't get it. They don't get it. If you really want the top of the line stuff, then you're going to pay more for it because they need to. Those companies are paying more for their authentication. It's we're one of the reasons why we're able to sell for a lower price. I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into it, but we one of the reasons why we're able to sell for a lower price. Sometimes we're doing signings that are a little bit off the books, for example. We have had a few signings that were off the books. That's how we're able to do it cheaper. I don't know any other way to say it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense for you to believe that you're going to get the cheapest possible price. I remember years ago, I'm known. I don't even know if you know this. I'm known among my friends as like the TV guy. When someone wants to buy a new TV, I help them pick the TV. I have a knowledge of that market. And I remember this was years ago, but my friend was like, oh, I want to buy a new TV, blah, 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 blah. Can you tell me all the things about it? And I remember like, I'm always kind of a jerk. I'm not just a jerk here, by the way, listeners. I'm a jerk everywhere. And I was just kind of like, well, what's your budget? And she said, oh, I just want the cheapest that I can get. And I said, just go to Walmart and buy whatever, was my answer. Because that's really how it goes. Like if you want to shop and you want to have a guarantee that was kind of a crappy analogy, but if you want to have a guarantee, you go to a store that you know you can return it. Okay, go buy from High Spots. Go buy from one of those places. I mean, we guarantee because we do the signings and put pictures that are proof shots and have pictures that are have our tablecloth on them. If that's not sufficient for you because you want to be able to sell them later, you want an additional market guarantee of having that sticker, then you need to go somewhere else, because we're not doing the kind of bulk that is going to allow us to get the stickering at a cheap enough rate to make it worthwhile. The only reason why High Spots is able to get JSA or Beckett or PSA on all their stuff is because where we get 100 items at a time, they'll get 2,000 or 3,000 items at a time, and so their per item rate with the authentication companies is cheaper. That's it. That's the reason. So and because we're not laying out thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands for every signing, that's not how we operate. We don't have the capital to do that.
Yeah. And listen, here's the reality. If you look at, I'll use us as an example, because since you did already. If you look at us and you say, well, I trust their Radcliffe stuff because it's stickered. I trust the Olivia Hussey because it's stickered. But all that other stuff, I don't know because it's not stickered. If you think the source is the source is the source, if you don't trust us on unstickered stuff, you shouldn't trust us on stickered stuff.
It's so easy to get fake sticker stuff now.
If we have fake unsigned stuff, we can have fake stickered stuff easily. So don't trust us at all if you don't trust us. And if you do trust us, then take advantage of the deals. I hate when I post something, we'll be selling crap that's barely profitable, and it'll be like $40 shipped for something, and someone's like, oh, is it stickered? And my response is always the same. I'm not quite to Terrence's level yet, but I'm getting there. My response is, if it was, it wouldn't be this cheap, which is, That's what it comes down to. I'd rather burn it. I'm going to go, I'll go get a sticker and I'll lose $10. Come on, give me a break.
He's not wrong, though, about that.
No.
Like, there is, to some extent, there is a discount for having stuff that's not stickered. And if you want to get it stickered yourself, you're more than welcome to pay the $25 to do that. Well, I made the mistake. I talked about it. I actually talked about it on the show when the dude when he bought the John Carpenter Michael Myers Funko from me on eBay, right? And it was unstickered. One of my few unstickered items, because I got it at Steel City, who only sells their crappy in-house stickering. And so I didn't have it stickered. I sold it, and I should have just blocked the guy, because he asked, "Oh, do you guarantee it to pass?" And I was just, not to rehash this whole story, but he sent it in to a third-party authenticator. They said it was not likely to pass. So he did a photo thing, and then of course he lost his mind when I demanded it to be returned. And then I ended up dealing with humorously enough, I ended up dealing with the authentication company. I got them to reverse their decision and approve it and authenticate it. And then he got all mad, but because I guess it proved the inexact nature of the authentication process. But it's the kind of thing that that if you're selling stuff, you need to know, and if you're buying stuff, you need to know that stickering costs money. It just does. And then therefore getting stuff that's unstickered really allows you to get a bargain. Fact.
Yeah, that's the deal.
So we had another Wicked Ink Wednesday this week. We had a reference to Chris Giles here. Did you see his autograph from Johnny Valentine?
I did. That's something you don't see every day.
I've never seen one, honestly. So that's pretty cool. Johnny Valentine, of course, was the father of Greg the Hammer Valentine. Was an extremely, extremely popular and successful wrestler in his day. Nothing else to really say about that. Jim, he had his poster of the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I guess it was that CW crossover with all those shows. They had all the shows back when the CW DC universe was happening, and they had all these crossovers. There were about 1 million signatures on that poster.
Yeah, I always love to see the projects that are really filled up.
And finally, Brandon posted a full signature Millie Bobby Brown Funko. And the reason why I picked that one for this week is because full signature Millie Bobby Brown stuff is just really hard to come by these days. She straightened her signature to that horrible MBB, and you don't really see full signature stuff anymore.
I barely remember when she even was doing the full signature. It really wasn't that long of a moment in time.
It was during her first couple of appearances. But yeah, so that was great to see. We also had Photo with Friday, and I'm going to be very honest, I forgot to post for Photo with Friday, so I suck.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. To be in my defense, I'm sick. Have some mercy on me. But some great, awesome stuff. The stuff that always makes me jealous. Tyler posted not only his wife was in the picture, but also President and Mrs. Carter was pretty cool to see.
We should have done that. I don't know why we never did.
You had to go to Georgia, right?
Yeah.
And that was that's your answer. That's the reason.
We've done more for less.
I'm not sure. I've never gone that far. I think that's not true. I've been to LA for autograph signings, so that's just I lied. But I feel like Georgia is a little bit more of a challenging trip than LA. If the flights are more expensive, and there's no.
That's fair. That is fair.
I'm really making terrible excuses. We should have done it 100%. Newcomer to the group. He's only posted a couple times. Anglum. He posted a sick shot with Keanu Reeves. I'm assuming from Keanu's recent Broadway run. But really, I mean, just flawless. I think he's a kid. That's probably why he got such a great shot. But hey, use it to your advantage, man. It's a great shot. And Greg 2600, respecting the gimmick, had a great shot, not only with Rob Reiner, but he also, the reason why I picked it was because he had the shot in the background, lingering in the background was Nick Reiner, who murdered his parents, was also photobombing the shot.
Allegedly.
I mean, I think he was there. I think he was in the home.
No, I'm joking.
The cops got there.
So I think it's beyond allegedly, but yes, that's pretty cool, and it also shows the derangement of many of us. And I've done the same thing of like the weird little things that we'll sometimes Photoshop out of our photos. Like the guy, the sun in the background was really not a big deal, but that shows the level of care and detail Greg and other collectors spend of like curating, like making it perfect.
Yeah, it's a good thing he saved. It's a good thing he saved the untouched shot, because then it's kind of a unique. It's a unique shot.
Yeah, I always do. I always have the original, and then whatever I clean up.
So good for Greg. Very good for Greg. The cons have started. The spring cons have started with their announcements. The big event has announced Rick Martel. There were some people who were very, very happy with this, and there were others who were kind of scratching their head. Where do you fall in this camp? What camp do you fall in?
Who was scratching their heads?
Me.
Oh.
At the pricing.
Well, listen, part of me, here's the deal. There's that dark, nasty, mean voice in my head with the hobby that part of me liked that I had Rick Martel, and those of us on the ground 15 years ago had Rick Martel. And all the newcomers were out of luck. I mean, kick rocks, as you would say. You don't have Rick Martel, I do. And now everyone's going to have Rick Martel. So that kind of bugs me irrationally. But ultimately, I'm happy because, I mean, I would like to say I'm happy to see the hobby win.
That's a lie.
It is a lie. That's why I said I'd like to say. I rationalized it on a selfish level because I didn't do Hasbro's back then. So I bought this within 10 minutes of the announcement dropping. I bought a Hasbro because I knew that market was the good ones were going to be bought. The other good ones that would come on the market would be more expensive now that there's something to do with them. So I snatched one up quickly. I also repurchased the Big Rubber Guy, which I sold from the set a few weeks ago because I figured I'll never get it signed, so I don't need it. So I was spending money already on Rick Martel. And you were scratching your head?
I just think the price is astronomical. I don't think he will draw anywhere near what they need him to draw to make this a successful booking. It's one of those things. Yeah, there are hardcore, diehard convention people who really, really, really need Rick Martel, but Rick Martel is just not worth what they're charging for him, and never will be. He was never a main eventer. He was never a headliner. I mean, he's being billed as a headline guest. He's a headline guest insofar as he's rare, and so he's a headliner, and you got to charge headline prices for him. He's not a headliner. He wasn't a headliner when he was a wrestler. How could he be a headliner when he's retired? It makes no sense.
I hear you. I want to be clear. I don't, and I'm not saying you weren't saying this either. I just want to be clear to the listeners. Any issue with pricing that anyone may have, this is not big event saying, "Ooh, I'm going to charge a 95% margin here and make some serious money because people want Rick Martel." The deal I'm sure that they made to get Rick Martel through the door and on the plane was insane. It was massive. That's what big event does. They pay people to a level that no one else can or will, and they get deals done, and then they get people in the building that no one else can get, because for other people and their business model, it would be a complete kamikaze suicide mission. I've heard from other vendors the numbers they've floated to Rick Martel that are like a realistic type of numbers given where he is on a card versus, with the increase in rarity. And he doesn't care. He rejects them outright. So I'm sure Tom had to pay him big. So if people want Rick Martel, this is the price. I don't think anyone else is going to get Rick Martel. I know for a fact no one else is going to get him for cheaper, because if anyone else gets him, they're probably going to be paying the same king's ransom that Tom did to get him on the plane.
Correct. I just don't see the end game to something like that. I can estimate based on what they're charging for him, what they had to pay him. They'll never, ever, 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 ever make it back. Never. It's not possible. It's not possible. So I just, whatever. Yeah, I guess we all like to spend our money in different ways. There's no way that that Rick Martel is $180 combo, right? Is that 180?
I believe so.
So I mean, there's just no way. He's not a headliner. He didn't draw anything in wrestling ever. He was a side guy at best. He's kind of infamous for coming back, having a little bit of a renaissance in WCW and getting hurt, which allowed for the Chris Benoit push to happen. That's what the footnote of Rick Martel in history is. I mean, they put him to headline the AWA when the AWA was completely sinking and going out of business. He wasn't ready then. And in WWF, he was a bottom of the card tag wrestler that turned into a classic mid card, really fun mid card, right? That the arrogance, the model. That was a very, very fun gimmick, but it was by definition a mid card act. He's nobody's favorite, right? Sort of by definition. I think he's very well regarded. People like him. But it's just astronomical. If I didn't have him, which I do because I got him from Legends of the Ring, if I didn't have him, I still wouldn't pay it.
I think his draw might surprise people. I think you're underestimating the amount of diehards that are going to come with not one, not two, not three, but multiple items. I don't know the math exactly. I'm not going to speak to that.
Tom gave the math on Facebook. It's not happening. So I'm comfortable saying he was talking about having to make what was the amount per minute he said he had to make?
Well, to be fair, he did sort of stipulate of saying if. We don't know for sure that's the actual number.
Right,
I agree that's probably the number, but I'm saying we don't know for sure. I just want to be clear. I'm glad he booked him. Is that a selfish reason from, perhaps. But I mean, I'll get my stuff done. It's exciting for the hobby. I think it's definitely another medal on the chest of big events as far as bringing out these people that myself included deemed impossible before they got it done.
I'm just not sure why anyone would deem it impossible.
Because he rejected every number that was reasonable.
Yeah, but that's true all the time. It's true all the time. People reject, like Stacy Keibler. They reject until someone is willing to pay. That's it happens all the time. This is just another case, and the difference is, like, I don't know. At some point, you got to realize he can't. How many Give me a number of people who are going to look and say, I must buy a ticket to this show because Rick Martel is on it.
I think 100,
200, 300, 500? Give me a number. Even if 500 people do, that's not enough. That's not enough. That's the crazy thing. I don't know. I'm not paying that. I can't. I understand why it's being charged because it must be charged. That's how much it costs to bring in. I totally understand it. I don't think he's worth it. That's my opinion. I gotta stick with that one. I can't deny it.
Yeah, I think that's the way it works with these people. When you get the people like the Keeblers and the whatever, all these names that kept saying no until someone paid it, I think objectively speaking, I don't think any of them are really worth what the price is. But that's sort of the understanding that the fans who have been clamoring for this person for years are kind of okay with overpaying to get it done. And you have to have a promoter that is willing and able to overpay to get it done. And where and how the chips fall at the end of the day, that I don't know. I agree with you. I wouldn't have the balls to sign up for this deal and play with this kind of money. But of course, I'm not, I don't do big event level business. Big event has more resources and I would say probably more, balls and ability to take a big swing than I do. For me, I'll sweat $1,000 booking.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, God, if they can figure out a way to make it work, God bless. I mean, it's whatever. It's just me as a collector. There is literally nothing on earth that would make me pay that money or anywhere near that money for Rick Martel. Full stop.
Well, then I would argue that you as a collector are not passionate enough about anything you collect. Because if you have like a Hasbro, for example, you're not going to let a couple, maybe $50 overvalue, $40 overvalue stop you.
Anyone who was that passionate would have got the Hasbro done when he was Legends of the Ring. Otherwise, you're a Johnny-come-lately. What are you? Now you got to bug up your ass now about Hasbro? He was around. He was part of the super ticket, if I'm not mistaken. He was cheap back then. So, I got him on my belts, whatever belts I had. I had an AWA belt, I think. I can't really remember. I got him on the Classic Superstars figure. I got him on the Strike Force figures. I got him on the Encyclopedia. I got him on the WCW TV title. All that. I got him on a ton of stuff. It's just now I just don't see how you're headlining with him. The other name that big event booked is Sammy Guevara, which is an interesting booking. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, on this show, Tom talked about not booking Sammy Guevara anymore. So I'm not really sure what happened, but Sammy hasn't done anything. So it's that's a good booking for me. Am I going to pay whatever he's charging? Probably not, but it's certainly fresh.
Yeah, Sammy has a lot of figures out since he was last here, so that's awesome. I don't even know what Sammy has done. He did a Legends of the Ring. He did a Wrestling Universe appearance like years and years and years ago. Besides that, I can't think of honestly anything. So I mean,
he was supposed to be a Tom exclusive for a minute, and then
I know. I'm saying I don't think he's. I'm thinking of actual appearances that happened and took place. He hasn't been in these parts in a while.
He was booked for that big event and then didn't show up, and it was canceled like shortly before the event, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So it's exciting if Sammy's going to start coming out again. That'll be great.
Yeah.
And speaking of big event run cons, Chill Out has started its announcements for its spring con. They are headlining. Well, they announced the headliner Dolph Lundgren. What do you think about that?
I think Dolph is a tremendous ad. He's done a couple of those like bottle signings around the area, but it sounds like they are never super well promoted and never that well attended. I think there's definitely a need in the market right now in this area for Dolph.
I love Dolph. I think Dolph will do great. He's done pretty well whenever he's come out. So I think he'll do well. I hope he does well. He doesn't do enough shows, I don't think. It would be nice to see him do more.
I think it's about as great of a first name as you can have, and like in typical Chill Out fashion, I'm sure this is one of like 3 headliners. So it's not all him. There's going to be more to come.
Yeah, but it's a good start. Good start. Steel City announced Michael Rooker. Not the most creative first name, but Michael Rooker pretty much always does well.
I feel like he was definitely at that last Steel City we went to. He took one show off, and now he's back for the next one. He's like, Michael Rooker is like a Virgil at many, many, many cons. And I guess considering he always does well, I guess that's why. If you're going to
It's
show
kind
up
of
and make
wild to
money
me for someone who works as much as Michael Rooker, he's able to make all these bookings.
I mean, I guess he doesn't work quite as much as Freddie Prinze.
It's just such a weird thing how he's able. It just really shows you, I guess, where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah.
He always makes his bookings, so good for him. Monster Mania has come out swinging for its spring show. They added Thomas Jane, who just canceled their previous show. But that's kind of not the story here. The story here is there's that new It show, It Welcome to Derry. It's on HBO. And they have just begun a reunion of already. The show is barely finished, and they have all the kids on there. So, and I'm gonna get these names wrong, but these are all the kids from It. If you're wondering who they are, it's Mikal, Kareem Fiddler, Miles Eckhart, and Amanda Christine are the kids from It so far. And I imagine Dave's not done. That's when they do a reunion like this. I will say Monster Mania is pretty good at being an innovator in this space. When there's a new show, they did the same thing for the It movies. They had the kids out right away, all of them except Finn Wolfhard, boom, together at a show. And if they did the same thing with Stranger Things, all of them, boom. And if you wanted them, you get them. That's it. So they're really good with that.
Yeah, I lamented not doing that and I actually forgot about the Stranger Things, so I actually screwed that one up as well. I am already in. I will be at Monster Mania Cherry Hill for the Welcome to Derry reunion. I'm halfway through season 1. If you like It, you're gonna like Welcome to Derry. It's got that feel. It's well done. Of course, seeing a Welcome to Derry reunion-led show that still has yet to add a headliner, it sort of gets my wheels turning. And I think about how awesome it would be if they pulled off...
Don't say Patrick Wilson.
No. Skarsgård. I was blanking on his name.
Oh, there's no chance. He's a pain in the ass.
Considering how long it took that private to happen, I'm not holding my breath.
Years to get that private done.
Listen, don't get me started on Patrick Wilson. I still think there's a place for Patrick and Vera to do this. But I'm not saying it'll be this one. But it would be ridiculous if somehow they could pull out something big that's It related.
I don't know, if they got Skarsgård, I mean, that would be mental. That would break the internet, I think. With the demand there. The demand there is massive. But I don't see a world in which that happens. I really don't. I like it to happen. I just don't foresee that being possible.
I'm still livid at the time I was screwed on Skarsgård outside Comic-Con.
How do you get screwed?
I was outside Hammerstein Ballroom for the different Comic-Con panels, and I'm on the rail, and I was the front row of the rail, and he's coming straight towards me to do stuff. And this moron is walking from Javits Center side of the street and just runs up to him on the sidewalk. And then once he did that, security came rushing and they just ran him inside. So idiot.
They didn't allow him to get to the rail. They broke street meeting etiquette.
Yeah. And it really pisses me off still to this day. And this is one where I'm sure eventually he'll do something. Because all these guys do, but just pisses me off.
Yeah, I understand that one. That's a pretty big frustration there. But did you at least make the guy face social consequences who did it?
How so? Am I so shouting at him like Greg? Am I gonna hit him with an umbrella like Steve? There's not much here.
Accidentally run a marker against his item in public.
He didn't have an item. He's a selfie guy. So
I don't know what you can do there. In other news, New Jersey Horror Con adds Peter Criss. I think the Kiss people tend to do well. I think with the recent deaths there in Kiss, I think a death in Kiss that I think they'll even do better. honestly.
Yeah, and Peter Criss was recently at Rough Trade, where he did. It was like a 3-hour appearance, but it was in writing as no photo ops. So I
That's
didn't even
interesting.
consider it on a Pokemon level, because why?
Do you think that normal people know what on a Pokemon level means?
Well, I'll go back to what I usually say, and I'll say that I don't think anyone normal is listening to us, because we're not normal. But I know what you're saying. The truly deranged and longtime listeners / readers and contributors would have a better idea of all this lingo than the average freak that just listens to us on iTunes.
Right. I mean, but
Yeah.
I would even argue our newer people don't know what that means on a Pokemon level. That's a very, very specific reference from the past.
Okay. Well, I'm sure now I'll teach some hobby lingo, much like Pokemon. How you sort of collect all the Pokemon. That's what some people in this hobby do, probably more than some. Where we get people just because we need to get them, and it's not like we have some real like poignant reason why we want them. It's just you got to catch them all.
And who on the board was the origin of that terminology?
Pretty good.
Jeremiah himself.
The fat virgin, Jerry.
Why'd you do that? Jerry was.
I gotta represent both voices.
Jerry was the one who came up with that, really to describe his own collecting philosophy, as he was a Pokemon collector.
Yeah, deranged, but also very very well put. He really captured the essence of what he does.
For sure. So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, please email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out autograph collecting community on Facebook. All links are in the show notes on Facebook and Substack. And if you want your event, product, or brand advertised on episodes of Marked Out Radio, reach out to us today at markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com. Please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and or review. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a rating or review. If you listen on Spotify, you can now leave a rating or a review on individual episodes. Did you know that?
No.
Well, you can. And if you listen to us on YouTube, you can leave a thumbs down, a thumbs up, or a comment. All engagement is highly encouraged. Honestly, it's Christmas. Give us a Christmas gift and give us some engagement. It'll be delightful. Marked Out Collectibles is running a special sale on autographed Harry Potter Funko Pops, signed by Daniel Radcliffe himself. They are all JSA authenticated, so it's even though we were talking about stickering before, they are JSA authenticated, so you can rest assured that they are authentic. And yeah, I mean, this sale lasts until the end of the year. It's $120 shipped, but you have to contact us via DM or email to get that deal. That's not the eBay price. So please do so if you're interested.
That shelf is looking pretty barren.
Yeah, we were almost all of them are gone. We only have a couple left. A lot moved really quickly, actually. And then there's only a couple left. What else are we doing? Oh, we got a lot of requests to discuss. It was a big feature of the board back in the day, but now the end of year awards, people want them again. So we're gonna have a go at end of year awards, but this time it's gonna be related to the show and Facebook, not necessarily the board, because the board is deceased more or less. So I guess we'll list some, not all, but some of the end of year categories, so you can start thinking about who you're going to nominate, and then we'll have a post go up this week that'll talk about the nomination and voting process.
Yes, and that post will be in the Marked Out autograph collecting community on Facebook. So if you are a listener of Marked Out Radio and you have not taken the plunge into the hottest Facebook group in this crazy hobby, now is as good a time as any to hit that join button and be ready to participate.
Yeah. Do you want to list some of the award categories, or we should just save them all?
I think we should run through them. Let people's brains start working. We have unexpected hit of the year. We have the Grail landed. We have con of the year. Worth the Wait award, which will tie in with longest lines for individual talent. The report MVP, whose reports have just swept the nation and the world more than anyone else's. The non-report post of the year. The cleanest hit of 2025. The historian of the year, our Marked Out Spirit Award, who just personifies Marked Out. I'm not sure if winning that award is an insult or a compliment. The Marked Out Angle of the year, Overthinker of the year, Autograph of the year, Collector of the year, the Con Hit of the year, and then Marked Out Radio cannot be forgotten. We have an episode of the year category, and we have the Sean Rant of the year. So I mean, you have pawn shops, you have Justin Dhillon, you have limited adults from Staten Island, you have perhaps Rick Martel having too much of an asking price that makes people charge too much. I don't know. He's been ranting a lot this year, but we will open it to all nominees, all nominations.
There you go. So I look forward to hearing what people have to say as far as their nominations go, and then we'll have a whole voting process, which we'll explain. So now we'll get to some listener questions. Again, we have a bank of many of them, so we just picked a couple. I'd like to say they were not at random, but they pretty much are. So just keep that in mind. If you're wondering where your question is, how a comment hasn't been read yet, we have a lot, and we're just pulling ones that we think we can answer in a good amount of time. But of course, that's tough because we're already way over time. But that's okay. So let's see. You read the question. Let's go.
All right. Listener C. Rat Sean wants to know what we think the most positive change we've seen in conventions in the last 10 years. And on the flip side, which we'll get to as a second part, what is the worst? And he wants us to exclude the increased cost.
All right. So do you want to take this first, or should I?
I'll take it first.
Okay.
My positive is going to be the excluded increased cost. Go big or go home. Conventions nowadays are places where you could even argue, oh, is it possible they got Bill Skarsgård? Or, oh, is it possible Kevin Costner does another? When who would have thought he would have ever done any? Back in the day, these conventions were filled with Mason Reeses, and who I'm still angry about for laughing at me when that table collapsed. And, Burt Ward and Captain Lou Albano's. And yes, I'm kind of running through that entire Big Apple Con lineup.
Actually, though. That's so funny.
But nowadays, anything is possible. There's almost nobody that I think we'd truly be surprised, short of like a Tom Cruise or something. Like, everything seems possible. And I don't care if autographs went from $20, $30 things to now being $1,000 things. Go big or go home. I want to be in a hobby where I can go to a convention and meet anybody. So the absolute sky is the limit, to me, is the best change in the last 10 years. And as far as the worst change in the last 10 years, I guess I won't think critically here, because, without this, they wouldn't be successful. But the increase in lines. If you went to a con back in the day, you had no problems going table to table, getting what you needed. There were exceptions. There were bigger and smaller lines, of course. But now, let's just run with that thing. If Monster Mania adds Bill Skarsgård, even with VIP, getting an autograph is going to be an all-day thing. It's an ordeal. Back in the day...
Look at what happened with David Howard Thornton at Monster Mania. Spent all day, didn't get him. No,
you did not have that problem with Gunnar Hansen.
No.
You got it.
I didn't have that problem with Robert Englund back in 08.
So that's my negative. And again, that is head in the sand stupidity on my part to even say that. Because if you didn't have the crowds, everything would go out of business. I would have nothing to do on these weekends. I would have to actually save my money. What would I do with all these thousands of dollars I burn? I would have to invest and grow wealth and, increase my everything else in life. Come on, who'd want to do that?
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, so thank God for cons. Thank God for being able to spend all this money. And, thank God for everything that goes into it.
So that's for me. The improvement is that most guests will now not take. Oh, they'll take credit cards or some form of non-cash payment. I'm not gonna lie. It always made me nervous walking around with huge wads of cash at these cons. If you're a relative newcomer, you don't know the stories of back in the mid 2000s, Robert Englund going home with garbage bags, those big black lawn and leaf garbage bags filled with cash from the cons, and everything was cash. And you'd be walking around, and there were huge lines at the ATM machine. There were fights over the ATM machine. The ATM would run out of cash, and the show would grind to a halt. These were pretty common occurrences, and there was always that danger of walking around with that much cash in your pocket of a catastrophe happening, so it definitely is nice that these people have finally acknowledged they have to pay the tax man, and that's part of the reason, honestly, why the pricing has gone up across the board, is because it's very, very hard to not pay the tax man unless you're certain vendors, and then you'll get yours eventually anyway. But yeah, that's as far as positive change. Worst change, I actually think I'm going to diverge a little bit because the guest lists are so much better. The cons don't face the social consequences for canceling guests like they used to. There used to be significant consequences publicly for a con that has lots of cancellations. And that's just not true anymore. These guests cancel all the time. Cancellations are so common that it doesn't even people don't even bat an eye at them. Look at Steel City. There were just all these cancellations, and people were just told, "Hey, if you want good guests, you have to deal with the fact that they might cancel." And that's actually true. We are much, much, much more inoculated now against the idea of cancellation. We just kind of shrug our shoulders and move on. When years ago, if there was a cancellation, it was seen as a big deal, and that's sort of a negative, I think, overall. I think it makes sense. There's a logic to why there are cancellations now when there were fewer years ago, but I think that's just a reality of the times that we are in.
Agreed.
That's that question. The next question. What is your recommendation on the best way to meet celebrities outside of cons? And how do you find out about book signings and other appearances?
Okay. I've actually had a couple people request, which I want no part of this, I think, for various reasons, but I've had people request that we make like a Patreon with like a paid service where we would sort of list all these events.
No,
and
thanks.
that sounds cool to make money listing events, but that's a lot of upkeep. So I always reject that. But this is a very important question. First of all, what's your recommendation on the best ways to meet celebrities outside of cons? That woman on the Facebook group, if she hears this, is not going to be happy. But I mean, street meeting, depending on where you live and how common that is always a good opportunity. If you're aware of comedy clubs, if you're aware of theaters and different things that have various events. Granted, if you live in the middle of Iowa versus like New York or LA, that's vastly different. But that is always a good thing. If shows and concerts are coming to town, and you could, especially if you have a small airport, it's not that hard with a little bit of reasoning and know-how to say, well, they were in this city on this day. What flights could they get to come into this town? And you could sort of stand by your one baggage claim and have some success if that's your bag, pun intended. That's part of it. And to go with the second part of the question, how do you find out about the appearances? Assuming this person's not into doing street meets, basically you just have to be aware of what is your geographic cone of ground you'll cover. How far will you go to meet somebody? And when you just establish how far you'll go, find all the different places in that radius that has appearances or ever has had an appearance, and like and follow and subscribe to all of their crap. follow their socials, sign up for their email blasts, all of that. And you have to sift through a lot of crap with a lot of sales for books and different things that you don't care about just to catch the news that they're having an appearance. And then also, the longer you're in this world, I'm in several group chats and different things where I get a lot of this information just dropped into my chats. And if I find information, I drop it into the same chats. And you have like-minded friends that do the same thing. And you all, it just increases your sort of your range. So that's how I find stuff out.
I do think that the big thing is to know the venues, to for example, so many of the book signings are at bookends, right?
Yeah.
So but we know bookends because I'm on the bookends mailing list. We're on bookends social. So if we figure out what if you know that there are liquor store signings near you, follow the socials for those liquor stores. If you know that there's a bookstore by you that typically has these things, get on there. Follow their socials. That's really how it goes. And what ends up happening is it snowballs, especially on Facebook, right? How many times, like the Bill Murray thing, I was like, it was recommended to me on Facebook. Very shortly after it broke publicly, the tickets were recommended on Facebook. It's pretty good. The algorithm is pretty good at sending you things that you're going to want to see. I hate to say it like that, but that's how it goes. And so you really have to, once you start following things that are hobby related, you let it snowball. And does that mean you have to sift through a lot of junk? Yes, but that's part of it. There used to be various lists and things, and there are certain people you can follow who post these things publicly. But like, for example, it's not a secret that I'll give you an example. It's not a secret that Daniel Radcliffe is having another Broadway run. How do you know? I'm getting ads every 2 seconds on Facebook for the tickets to this damn show, right? So if you know he's having a Broadway run, look at when the shows are and plan accordingly. Honestly, so many people go on Broadway, go and look at what shows are playing right now, who's starring in them, what time of those shows are those shows. Go to the rails and talk and ask people. Maybe 19 out of 20 people won't tell you anything, but one will. And that it really is about building a network of people who are willing to share information. And social media is the best way to do that. Is there any surefire way to getting it? No. I mean, there are certain things that if it's a really good event, the people who find out they keep it a secret. That's a truth of our hobby. They do it on purpose. They don't want you there. The more people that are at a spot, the more likely it'll be that someone fouls it up. Look at what happened with Dana and Skarsgård, where some jackass fouls it up just by being present, being alive. This guy is alive, and therefore he screws it up. There were instances where we've been at spots that were just extremely quiet, where almost no one was there, and it's like ching. And then we're very hesitant to share what that is in the future because we don't want people showing up.
Yeah, that's honestly correct.
So it's hard to answer a surefire way to do it. Book signings, bottle signings, things like that. Those are social media. Other stuff, you gotta have a network of people who trust you, and you share with them. And look, the easiest way to get a network of people who share with you is you share with them first, or at least show effort and show that you're willing to comport yourself, not like an animal in public, that you can be trusted to not be a lunatic and blow up a spot in public.
That goes a very, very long way.
Then the last question. This comes from Chris Collector. It's funny. I love the way Chris Collector talks, and he's hilarious. And obviously this is in reference to, I guess, certain topics that we talked about in the past couple of weeks. If you make your living selling your sexuality, why are people, talent included, so surprised when people bring perverted energy to these appearances?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think in a lot of cases, it's more the people in this world, in this hobby, that want to act self-righteous and sort of, because again, like you said, it's that mirror of seeing something of themselves in this action that they deem distasteful, and they want to distance themselves from it by, opposing it so just vigorously. But I think for a lot of the talent, like you don't really hear anything negative coming out of like Exotica, for example. The
Well, no,
porn
but let's
stars,
say, I mean, let's say you're talking about AJ Lee and
yeah.
that TikTok video. Now, AJ Lee, she has her ass hanging out at every appearance. Okay, so and we're not going to lie and pretend that she doesn't. So, how do you reconcile the fact that, I mean, in your head, you are using sexuality in your appearances? Why would you be surprised then when people view you through a sexual lens?
Well, I think AJ Lee is sort of a poster child of 2025 and that whole like outrage about everything and everything's got to be whatever, fair and equal, and that's her energy. I think for a lot of the women of wrestling, that's how they make their living. They are thrilled that the guys come up and objectify them because they made their living being objectified, and now in their later years they're going to continue making their living being objectified. So I think for a lot of them, they kind of understand the assignment and they're fine with it. I think AJ Lee and people like her, it's a really good point. I don't really have an answer. I think it just comes down to having your cake and eating it too. No, like you want to not be objectified, but you're fine making money by objectifying yourself. And it shouldn't work that way. And that's just the way the world is for a lot of people. I can go to a club dressed like this, but God forbid a guy looks or talks to me because why are you talking to me? Like that's the kind of sort of hot and cold at the same time that people want. And it makes no sense. And I think the women like Tammy Sitch, when she wasn't killing people behind the wheel of a car, truly understood the game. She played that game. There was nothing that would bother her, and she made her money.
I do think there's an important line, right? This is a performer, and there's a certain understanding that just because they're a performer doesn't mean you get to touch them or have any kind of, parasocial interaction with them. But I think selling photos standing next to someone crosses a weird parasocial boundary that we as a society really haven't fully reckoned with yet. It does. You're selling fake intimacy. And when you're selling fake intimacy, there are people who just don't understand the difference between real and fake. I mean, hell, it's professional wrestling. Half of the game is blurring the line between real and fake and having people try and believe or at least suspend disbelief that something is fake. And so when you are deliberately trying to blur the line between real and fake, and then you are genuinely shocked when someone doesn't understand that line, especially when these people have, a lot of these people have intellectual or emotional disabilities, you can't be surprised.
No.
But yet people are surprised.
And let me be clear. I am sort of bashing AJ Lee for being upset at a AI generated video that had no direct impact on her physical person. I am in no way saying that, because, Tori Wilson may have had a lingerie match 20 years ago, that a guy should be able to grab her because that's sexuality, and that's not what I'm saying. But when it comes to something harmless, like you said, from someone that is absolutely not all there mentally, he didn't grope you, he didn't touch you, he didn't follow you to your car, he didn't do anything weird like that. What he did that was weird is the same type of weird obsession that lined your pockets for years with buying all your crap and doing all this different stuff. And to me, you just sort of look the other way on that, the same way you look the other way on everything else that went into your career. Because, people are buying all these different things, these pictures, these different things. What are they doing with them? I don't know. They don't know. They don't really think about it. They just take the money and run. That's the game. If someone isn't touching you in any way physically, I don't think it's that big of a deal when it gets a little sexualized.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's by and large the answer. I do think that a lot of these, I think a lot of these people are trying to look at something that is, look, wrestling in particular is a preposterous business. It's a preposterous form of entertainment, right? I mean, it's people in their underwear pretending to fight, right? It's stupid if you really think about it at its core level. And yet, and so it should come as no surprise that the fan base caters to the art form, if you will, caters to the disabled. It caters to the people who are, of limited intellect. This is not a surprise. I mean, like, this is not new information. No one's gonna sit there and go, "Oh my God, wrestling crowds are on the lower end of intelligence." You're kidding me. Like, stop it. I mean, why are you lying about this? You're lying to yourself, or you're lying to the public, but you're lying to somebody. It's just dumb. So, like, let's just be very honest about it. Call it what it is, so we can understand who we're dealing with here. That's like, I just find it all so dumb that if people are even, and then of course our idiotic fans are doing this whole thing where they're carrying on in defense of these people who their favorites cannot do any wrong. And the bottom line is, wrestling has intentionally become more and more and more sexualized over the past, say, 25 years, right? It started in the late 90s and it hasn't really let up. And I know they had the PG era, but the PG era still it was all just warmed over, but it was still women with their asses hanging out in, tights. And there's a reason why at the cons all these losers go gaga over the women. It's not because they're admiring their creative storytelling and their athleticism, okay? And if you are a woman and you honestly believe that these guys are, really fans of yours because they're really admiring your athleticism and your creativity, then you're a moron. You are, because you believe something that's just transparently untrue. And look, that's fine. I mean, look, it's everyone's right to be a moron, I guess. But that comes with consequences, and the consequences are that you are woefully unaware of the reality surrounding your own life's work, right? And I guess there are plenty of people who exist in that sphere in the world where they don't really understand what their place in the universe actually is. Look, if you don't want to be sexualized, go be a dental assistant, right? Go work for UPS. Okay, if you're so concerned with hell, find a job, go be a librarian, go cover up with a sweater. But if you can't be so naive as to not think that this is what's going on. I mean, they're explicitly selling it. It's not even implied. It's explicit. It's explicit.
Yeah. And ultimately, I appreciate that we exist in a time and a society where we kind of hold people accountable for their actions. If bad things are happening in the world, we should, as a people, stand up and speak out against it, by all means. But as a result of that, you get this outrage over every little thing that just gets nauseating, honestly. So I guess
the problem is it's not honest. That's the problem, is that it's not honest. If it were honest, fine. It's not honest. Like when AJ complains that she feels violated by that AI video, there's one of two choices. She's lying or she's a lunatic, because it just doesn't make any sense. Again, if you took one look at this guy who made this video, you would know there's something wrong with him. Okay, he's mentally ill. He's disabled. And you just take one look at him. You listen to him speak for 8 seconds, and you realize, less than 8 seconds, by 4 seconds, and you realize, all right, I understand what's going on here, and you react accordingly. So for you then to be shocked, oh my goodness, well, how I could never expect this to occur. Come on, it's baloney.
Like you said, it's not honest. AJ Lee, who is all about the inclusion and kindness in 2025, in my estimation, fed this guy to the wolves, which were her followers, and she wanted him dragged for committing what she considered to be a faux pas. And she knew that by sharing this, she brought more eyes to it, but she wanted to basically ruin this guy's digital existence and have them just run him into the ground. That was her goal.
Correct. Which they did, by the way.
I don't think he gave a crap, though. I think, if anything, he probably is still aroused from his 1 million plus impressions on that post. I don't think he cares one bit.
God bless. How funny is that? Yeah, no, I agree. He didn't give a crap one bit. Not one bit. Which is amusing. And there are people who still are outraged by this stupid video, but it goes for any of them really. It's the same. The actresses who won't sign their Maxim magazine covers, or stuff like that. Even hell, I was joking when Chase Crawford wouldn't. He had done, I guess, some beefcake photo shoots, and there was a dude doing consignments who was getting a bunch of them signed at New York Comic Con back in 2021, and he refused to sign any of them. And it's like, you took them, you paid for them. What are you so worried about? You pretending pretend you didn't do it.
And speaking of Maxim magazine covers, I have a Stacy Keibler signed Maxim magazine, which is personalized, that I will be dropping in the Facebook group probably prior to this episode coming out. This is
you're not gonna wipe the personalization off that?
Wait, can I?
Of a Maxim? It's glossy. It's super gloss. You should, with Windex, should take that off, I think.
Really? Interesting.
A glossy cover? You could take a glossy cover. Was it Sharpie?
Yeah, but it's not that glossy.
It's a cover?
Yeah.
It's the actual magazine?
It's the actual magazine.
Those are high gloss.
Yeah, it's got some gloss. Ooh. Actually, hold that, guys. That price might be going up. Yeah, this price might be going up. Hold on. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I wouldn't use too harsh of an abrasive on that, but I don't think you'll have any trouble cleaning that up.
Even black Sharpie?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm actually shocked that you don't think that. Yeah.
No, I just.
Do you have an extra like Maxim lying around, or some kind of magazine, some cheap magazine where you can test the cover and mess with it?
I don't think I do. I mean, I definitely have a cheap magazine. I don't think I have a Maxim. I think those have long since been discarded.
Any cheap magazine will do. Just give you a sense of what you need. I suspect a
worst case
or an Expo will take this right off.
I was going to say, worst case, I'll try it in the supermarket. I'll bring the Expo. I'll bring the marker.
I don't think those magazines exist anymore. But anyway, that's that. It is funny, but not surprising that people are hypocrites. I mean, we're in a world of hypocrites, aren't we? So I'm not surprised. So what's coming up for us? We still doing DMC, or have you quit that idea?
I'll be leaving in about an hour. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm not missing out.
Just thinking about the possibility of doing that today makes my skin crawl. So even though I like DMC, it's an easy no.
See, I actively enjoy doing this stuff. What I like with the lulls from cons is I like the relief of not spending $1,000 every weekend. But I like little signings and events to do. If I had months of nothing, I'd be bored.
No, this is hours of just waiting. And honestly, the mutants waiting at Looney Tunes are no fun for me. So it's an easy no for me. What else do you got going on coming up?
I have DJ Premier. He's doing an event this week. I will be venturing off into the city yet again. Can't miss out on Preem. He doesn't do too much, really, not much at all, honestly. And yeah, I'm happy I'm able to do it. I also then have KNS Con for a couple odds and ends. I got Jim Duggan. I got some other Hasbro. I actually bought the Mr. Hughes Heels and Faces figure. I don't love every Heels and Face, but this one is really, really good. I have a couple other odds and ends. And then way, way, way down the pike, I have Monster Mania for the It Kids.
Yeah, the jury's still out on me for Monster Mania. I'm definitely not interested in Thomas Jane. The It Kids, between then and now, between now and then, I should say, I'll hopefully watch that show a little bit and make a determination there, and hopefully they'll beef up their guest list with somebody more interesting. But I don't know. We'll see. Nothing else really happening between now and then either to make any determinations. I think by the time Monster Mania rolls around, then that'll be the full season again, and thinking about Steel City and whatnot, and what the spring con season looks like. It's crazy to think about.
Indeed.
And we do just again be on the lookout for that post describing our end of year awards. We're very excited about them. We're very excited to launch the first end of year awards in this new era, kind of a reboot of them in this new format. It's gonna be pretty good.
And without the nominations, we have nothing. So you, the community, we're throwing it to you because I don't want to just pick, I'll pick my 5 best meats, you pick yours, and then everyone votes on it. Like, we want everything. And listen, we're not going to remember every post or contribution or success that happened. So you guys got to remind us and sort of throw it all out there. So I look forward to what the community puts together.
Absolutely. So if you're shopping for autographs, check out www.markedoutcollectibles.com or our eBay store at Marked Out Collectibles. To contact us for any reason, email markedoutcollectibles@gmail.com or join the Marked Out autograph collecting community on Facebook. And we still have no public signings in the near future. That's likely to stay that way. Well, it's definitely staying that way through the new year, and we'll see what the spring brings.
Correct.
So for markedout.com, Marked Out Collectibles, Marked Out Radio, I'm Sean.
And I'm Dana.
And we will see you next week, which will be after Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everyone, and please participate in the End of Year Award.